You're with Julian on the Brown Note, and if you're listening live, it's tomorrow night, and that's the beginning of the new three-part documentary on SBS, Look What You Made Me Do. If you live in Australia, you know what that title's about. I remember an ABC documentary on domestic violence where they interviewed perpetrators of domestic violence that were in jail. Every last man said it was still the woman's fault. Look what you made me do. We have an epidemic of domestic violence in Australia, and we also have a wider ranging problem with misogyny and sexism and general aggression and nastiness towards women that has been fueled by the internet a lot. There's a crushing statistic globally, which is that a man is most likely to die a violent death outside of his own home at the hands of a stranger. A woman is most likely to experience a violent death inside her own home at the hands of a friend or family member, which is a pretty distressing thing. Men's rights activists will tell you that it's equal, that the media lies, and they'll throw up all these crap statistics to prove their point. 1 in 5 Aussie women, 1.7 million women, have been sexually assaulted or threatened since the age of 15. 1 in 20 men, or 428,000, have a guess what percentage of those men were attacked by other men. To say that this is a comparable statistic when we see a woman on average in the news killed by her partner or ex-partner in the most violent manner possible, just recently being set on fire in front of her kids after going to the police daily and saying she was scared for her life. We do not see the same statistics for men. We do not see the same stories in the news about women killing their male partners every week, which we do with women. There are there were 264,000 violent domestic incidents recorded by the police over a 2-year period. There's something like 700,000 calls for domestic violence a year. Hundreds of thousands of calls. This is an epidemic. It's a new wave of online sexism that I've noticed, where people with very aberrant views on women can often operate with impunity or anonymity online. It's an easy way to get angry, and it's been fueled since the advent of social media and a massive disconnect with a younger group of guys that seemingly feel lost in their masculinity and are fed fire by people that are older who have genuinely misogynistic views, usually due to their own divorces or general hatred of women. There's just this massive right-wing political movement which is very anti-feminist and has been for a long time. To them, a feminist is the same as a greenie or a lefty. If you look online, every single story about women and violence against women, underneath that you will see stories from men's rights activists debunking it, posting mythical figures, facts and figures. And they cannot do anything for men. They don't do anything actually productive for men. They just shoot down any story about women. I do have my own history of domestic violence, and I would, after saying it's all about women, my own personal history has what was called by a counsellor to me domestic violence against me. In what they called a psychotically abusive relationship. So I do have experience of it the other way around. I never called it that. I would never have called it that, but it did leave me hospitalised a couple of times for mental health problems after never having any in my whole life, and it took years to get over. But it did give me a window into some of the things that go on. And I think two of the main ones are when people say, why don't they leave? Well, I didn't leave. I didn't leave because I'd been broken down over a 6-year period into a ghost of a human being. I was a shell of a person. I had no agency. I had no close friends left because they'd been cut off. I had no idea that this was going on or that this was unusual because I'd normalised a lot of behaviour that should have been toxic and obvious to an outsider over a long period of time through gradual increments. I fully understand why a woman can't leave an abusive relationship. The other misnomer is people assume there's a giant spider on the wall right behind me. This is not good. This is not good. I just saw it in the mirror. Christ. God, I hate spiders. I don't hate them particularly, but when you don't know they're there. So the other big misnomer is that a guy will walk in and punch a girl in the face. This isn't what happens. These people are experts at hiding who they are. You will read over and over about women who say they changed 2 years after they met them, they got married, everything was perfect, and then it happened by gradual increments. The text messages, who are you seeing? These things compounding and building up. The anger eventually leading to a slap. Having your friends cut, only ever seeing his friends and never your friends. These are elements of control, sometimes, as in my case, by people that had serious mental health problems. But it still has such an impact on you. It removes who you are. You don't have a personality behind it left. So I do understand, and I wish I didn't. And this is learned behaviour. This is a behaviour that is instigated at home through dismissive attitudes on women and is then often promulgated through teenage years where now, sadly, guys get online and have these sexist views compounded and are given an echo chamber where they can be extremely nasty about women and not learn self-control and not learn that their behaviour is wrong because they're allowed to act out their most hormonal anger and not learn to control it. And we end up with this generation where there are a lot of extremely violently angry men that will lose it against a guy in a bar if he knock his pint. This has got much worse over the recent years, over the last couple of decades. Even in places like America, it's got much worse because people don't have that level of self-control anymore. Men don't have that level of self-control, and it's all too easy to take it out on a woman. And it's a promulgation of the ancient notions that women are property. And therefore, if someone else sleeps with your woman, that's the biggest slight against you because she's your property. Not because you love her, but because that guy has taken your property. And you're entitled to it. So, this is going to be the most important documentary series released this year in the wake of an unending sexism and rape scandal with the Liberal Party. So I really hope you catch it. I'll be giving a roundup of it soon.